What you're looking at right now is one of the most dangerous coastlines on Earth. A place where the ocean doesn't just touch the land, it can erase it. In 2011, a wall of water slammed into this region, wiping out roads, towns, and entire connections to the outside world. But just a few years later, engineers came back here with a plan so ambitious, it almost sounds impossible. They would build a massive steel bridge directly across this open bay. Not around it, not along the coast, but straight through one of the most unpredictable marine environments in Japan. And they would do it with millimeter precision. This is the Kesennuma Bay Crossing Bridge, a 3-span steel cable-stayed structure stretching nearly 700 meters across the water, with a main span reaching out almost 360 meters into open space. But this bridge is more than just steel and cables. It's part of something much bigger, a complete reconstruction of Japan's coastal infrastructure after one of the worst natural disasters in modern history. Before the tsunami, most of the transportation routes here followed the coastline. It made sense: short distances, easy access. But it also meant one critical flaw. Everything was exposed. When the tsunami hit, those roads didn't just fail, they disappeared. Entire regions were cut off overnight. Emergency response slowed down. Supplies couldn't reach people in time, and the cost was measured in lives. So when it came time to rebuild, engineers made a radical decision. They wouldn't just rebuild the old system, they would redesign it completely. But building a bridge across Kesennuma Bay came with a unique problem. This wasn't just open water, it was a living, working ecosystem, a major aquaculture zone supporting local livelihoods. That meant one thing: traditional construction methods were off the table. No large-scale underwater work, no massive disruption to the seabed. So engineers had to rethink everything. Instead of building the bridge piece by piece in the ocean, they decided to build it almost entirely on land first. Massive steel segments, each one weighing thousands of tons, were fabricated with extreme precision in controlled environments. Every bolt hole, every weld, every connection detail had to be perfect before it ever reached the water. Because once it was out there was no room for error. Then came one of the most challenging parts of the entire project: transporting these massive structures out to sea. Specialized barges carried the steel segments across the bay, while giant floating cranes waited offshore. Each lift was a high-risk operation. Wind, waves, tides, everything had to align perfectly. Because when you're lifting thousands of tons of steel, even the slightest instability can turn into disaster. But before any of that could happen, the foundation had to be secured. Engineers drove massive steel walls deep into the seabed, creating a temporary enclosure that kept water out. Inside this artificial dry zone, they built the bridge's foundation right in the middle of the bay. It was like constructing a building at the bottom of the ocean. Then came the centerpiece of the entire structure, the main tower. Rising over 100 meters above the water, this tower would carry the weight of the entire bridge span. Each segment was lifted into place one at a time, stacked with incredible precision. Because here's the problem: if the bottom is off by just a few millimeters, the top could be off by several centimeters. And at this scale, that's unacceptable. So engineers monitored everything in real time. They tracked the tower's alignment, its tilt, even how it deformed under its own weight. Wind pushed it, temperature expanded it, Tides shifted the entire working environment, and still, they had to keep everything perfectly aligned. Once the tower was complete, it was time to install the cables. These cables are the backbone of the bridge. They don't just hold it up, they control how it behaves. Each cable had to be tensioned precisely, not too tight, not too loose, because every adjustment here affects the entire structure. Now came the most visually dramatic phase. Instead of building from below, the bridge began to grow outward from the tower, segment by segment, extending into open space. This method is called balanced cantilever construction, and it's exactly as delicate as it sounds. When the steel deck of the Kesennuma Bay Crossing Bridge slowly took shape above the water. Every time a segment was added on one side, another had to be added on the opposite side. This kept the structure balanced, because if one side became heavier than the other, the entire system could shift. And out here, in the middle of the ocean, that's not a risk you can take. Slowly, the two sides of the bridge moved closer together, meter by meter, day by day, until only a small gap remained. Then came the moment everything depended on, the final connection. This wasn't just another piece of steel. It was the point where two independent structures became one, and it had to fit perfectly. Even a tiny error could introduce stress across the entire bridge. And just like that, the structure was complete. A continuous steel bridge stretching across the bay, built not just to connect land, but to withstand the forces that once destroyed it. Today, this bridge is more than infrastructure. It's a critical link for transportation, a lifeline during emergencies, and a symbol of resilience. Because next time disaster strikes, this region won't be cut off again. From destruction to one of the most precise engineering achievements in the world, this is what it means to rebuild smarter, not just stronger, but prepared. If you want to explore more extreme engineering projects like this, hit subscribe, because the next one might be even more unbelievable.